Mic check. What's going on with the fam out there? Let's see something real quick. This look pretty dark. Mic check. Oh yeah, we got some color here. What's going on, child out there? There's traffic, basically. Rolling man, up 70 man, heading to the house. Just thinking about some things, man. Overall, it's been a pretty good weekend, you know what I'm saying? But getting ready to head back in tomorrow. But man, I was just sitting here rolling, man, and I got to thinking about some of the stuff that ISUPK was saying to make sure my mic is up. Matter of fact, hook my mic up. I got these headsets on. Hook this mic up. Alright, so got the mic on. Mic check. Peace. What's going on, brother Tony? Man, chilling, man, in this whip, man, just rolling a little bit. Just dropped my oldest son off at the house. Yeah, so yeah, I was really just want to talk about real quick, some things in regards to ISUPK. Y'all see the title, you know what I'm saying? What's up, Sister Cherry? Y'all see the title, basically dealing with ISUPK being conformed to the image of the beast. And so we know what the beast system is, basically. And the beast system is composed of, the many of people, rather races, different cultures of people that have decided to come together and form this system that's built off of, the lust of the flesh, the pride of life, and the lust of the eyes. And so one of the things that I was realizing is the beast system is basically built off of economics, politics, and also religion. And so one of the ways that that this system causes men to conform to that very system, so that in the latter times they'll be already ready basically to take the mark or the system, is to cause people to be in a state of naturalism, materialism, basically. Materialism plays a role in that. And so when you start looking at these guys and they looking at people that are of a different ethnic group, different races and stuff like that, then you really kind of see that it's opening up the door to conform to the very image of the beast. And so that's what this system is built off of. It's to keep you very, in a place to where you're so natural that there's no spiritual essence about you that is basically linked up to the Father or to the Creator. And so I think that that's something that has to be looked at. And so when you get different groups of people that are basically banging on each other or color banging because this person is this color, or even among themselves, or because on an international basis we see that white people fight against each other, and on a smaller scale we see that black people and other cultures of people fight against each other, whether if it's gang banging or community crimes, you know what I'm saying? Or so all around the board in the world we have a lot of things going on. We can be fighting about some community things, but on an international scale get blown up the next hour or two. So the whole root of it is to really look at sin. What is sin? You know what I'm saying? To look at the world and its social system and how it's built up, and really start to recognize those things. And so I think that for the most part, that when you look at ISUPK, their way on how to respond to white supremacy is by way of using the same tactic, which is playing the racial card, playing this type of we are, better than you, or we are this chosen people, when in reality, we know that the scriptures are saying that a person is chosen in regards to do something. They have an assignment, and so let me make sure I'm muting this real quick because this shouldn't be. Okay, cool. And so when we look at this whole situation, right? What's going on? Peace to the brother So Real. What's up, Red Pill? Um, when we look at this situation, right? Um, I think that black people, they will say, well, there is no black supremacy. Well, supremacy is really a mindset. A supremacist, he has this mindset to where he's this, he's something that's basically, or she, he, whatever. There's something that's basically has some type of expertise or something at this type of way of life. And so all of this come from judging people according to their flesh, judging people culturally. You may not like how this person's hair is straight, or how they smell, or what they do, culturally. His hair might be a little bit too kinky, or her hair might be a little bit too nappy or kinky, or whatever the case may be. This person got blue eyes, or this person got jet black hair. And so all of these things are really fleshly things. And so this is what we call, what the government do is they deal with what you call social science. And social science is basically the study of people, and basically experimenting, and and in these neighborhoods, really understanding what's really going on with the people out here. What's up, J Man? What's going on with the people out here? And so they know how to basically test, man. You know, how men will respond to those tests, because they've done this thing over and over again. So if you look up social science, you can kind of see that this is things that are being done in the communities. You know, and so when we look at ISUPK, they are a product of the beast system, and they are conforming to the very image of that system. And so this is why they judging people and living by the flesh, living according to the flesh, because that's what the system does. It's just like, I was just thinking about something, like when I was in Cali, right? When it came to wearing red or anything to deal with the blood gang, or the Crip gang, or whatever gang, you can be from a gang that's they got gangs out there that deals with every woman's fantasy. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a gang. Like, or they got gangs. Like, I was from Pacoima. You know what I'm saying? But I grew up in where the Denver Lanes at, in Pasadena. And so when I went to stayed in Pacoima, I rep Pacoima Piru Bloods. But at the same time, I had this. We had got off into this little set, and it was called Public. And Public, was a squad that, it was a mixture of Bloods and Crips. They was trying to come together and unify, but what Public actually stood for was pimping you bees like I can. And so even with that, we turned that into a gang, and it was so silly because I would wear a brown rag, which was the color, but then I would wear my red rag hanging off my belt just as well. And the Crips would wear their blue rag and their brown rag just to represent it. We had Mexicans in at that time, what I'm saying, because there wasn't no brown and black at that time, from where I was from, what I'm saying. But then later on it began to be brown on black wars, where we warred against, Mexicans and stuff like that. And these are Mexicans from like different parts of California, you know what I'm saying? It may not be, you don't have to wear, you just have to wear Mexicans and blacks just going at each other. You got different parts where that does happen, but for the most part, we didn't do that a lot in my areas. But just to show you guys how, we will make up little stuff like that, these little gangs, and bang on each other. You know what I'm saying? And this is the same thing that you see that goes on with ISUPK and also worldly people. These people are worldly. That's why if you notice the scripture says in 1 Samuel, I believe it's 16:7, it says that, don't look at the outward appearance of a man or judge him by his color, his appearance, or his countenance, because man looketh on the outward appearance, but it says the Father look on the inward man, or the heart, basically. And so he's telling basically Samuel, not to do those things in regards to when he was basically picking the king, which was David. And so Samuel went and he chose, basically, he looked at the oldest brother who looked like a warrior, whatever the case may be. But for the most part, it wasn't him. It was David, and David was scrawny, he was ruddy. You know what I'm saying? In face, he was a fair looking guy, but he didn't have that warrior appearance. And so Samuel, yeah, I lost service. So we're not told to do that. And so, we definitely got to be careful, man, because a lot of these guys, like ISUPK, are basically, conforming to that very image of the beast system, which uses a lot. Yeah, I had clicked out a little bit. I lost service. Which uses those very tactics to cause division among blacks, cause division among whites, cause division among every other culture of people. So we gotta understand that, man. We can't fall victim of what's going on out here. If you're a fleshly and a worldly person or a carnal person, slavery was a tool that was basically, especially the Atlantic slave trade was a tool that was basically used to cause a lot of, division, man, and also gain for, those that was of this system, and they gained by that. You got 500 years of just free labor, to build the new world, and you got this going on. You got people being mistreated, people being treated not like humans. You know what I'm saying? Did even a person that was a human that has some type of affection, some type of natural affection, should have known that this is just pure wrong. You know what I'm saying? But it didn't take what's going on, Elijah? My little nephew on here. And so, mainly, we got to make sure, man, we do better, man, that we don't do what the world is doing. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, we see all this stuff going on in this world, as far as the police brutalities, what goes on across the water, as far as internationally, the wars and the rumors of wars. These are things that are the beginning of things. A lot of these things are going to happen. Stay out the way, man. We got to stay out the way as much as we can. Stay plugged into the Lord. Stay plugged into the Most High God. Stay believing on Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying? And this is how we get through these things. This is how we make it through these things, man. And for those that are not plugged in, if you want to know anything about, the Word of God and Christ, and how He reveals to us the Father and what is God's plan for man, you can reach out. You can hit me up at laron498@gmail.com. You can reach out to some of the Shield Squad members, whether if they or just anybody you know that is a Christian that you know that they are good people. Reach out to those people, and when you reach out to those people, you got to understand that. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. You got to understand that. You know, you can build a relationship with God by prayer and reading His Word. A lot of people, they don't want to understand what this Bible is saying. They'll do everything in life and seek out everything, but to seek out who their Creator is. I think it's so important that you seek your Creator. And to be honest, you got scientists and people want to know where they came from, how they started, what is the origin. Well, I'm just being honest with you. There are people who know what the origin is. They're not going to tell you why, because they want to cut themselves off from the Creator, because they want to run things their way. So when we start looking at these people in the world and they are running things their way and using people, putting forth, causing slavery and these different types of things that we see that's going on, those very things that we see are tools that are used to take over the world and dumb the people down, because as long as you got a slave, you got free labor. And so I think that for the most part, we can't be dumb to that. We are spiritual beings that are housed in material bodies. We want to know, where do we go when we leave this body? What happens? Do we continue with this consciousness, or do we cease to be conscious? I think that, for the most part, that consciousness and conscience is something that is without the body. Because when you look at it, it is conscience that actually brought the material world into existence. This is why we say intelligent design. Because when we look at the very world, we actually copy off of the material world on what we see that was actually already made. You know what I'm saying? So, we have to take in consideration that this world is intelligently designed. Now we may see some things and say, well, this is a flaw here, this is a flaw there. No, what you're seeing is the after effect of entropy that came on this world because of a judgment on man who is in relationship with the very world. So if he does something in his world, then it causes an effect with those that are subject under him. And so when we look at this world, the most smartest thing that we see that can take care of other human beings, or take care of even animals, or can figure things out and to the best of their ability, is man. You know what I'm saying? We have evolved more, well, I wouldn't say in the sense of evolved to where we evolved from this ape-like creature, or whatever the case may be. But when we talk about science and stuff like that, we're dealing with a lot of molecular machines to understand the molecular body and molecular structure of the body and how genomes work and stuff like that. And so when we look at those things, we're understanding our very world. And understanding our very world, it helps us to actually see that we actually are, or we come from something that is higher than us, and we're in the image of that. Why? Because we share this moral aspect, or we share this type of creativity, or we make from that from what is created. And so we even ourselves want to extend ourselves by way of family, or by way of AIs and different things like that, artificial intelligence, and things that we see that can love us, you know what I'm saying, and think like us. And so most people do that through way of having kids, to experience that love through their kids. But this is how we extend ourselves and make an extension of ourselves. Well, we have that in us because we share that, because it comes from our Father. It comes from our Creator. You know what I'm saying? So we have to understand that. And so these very things come from our Creator. And so we want to experience those things. We want to experience anybody that's telling you that there is no God, but you see that there is, and we just came forth by these natural process without no guidance in it. It's just false. There is a God, but He's a God of judgment. He is a God of love. He's a God of mercy. And so one of the reasons why God has not came on this earth now, because if he was, he would destroy everything in it. So God gives us enough time before he brings wrath. So when he does bring his wrath, and the wrath of God comes on this earth, there is no excuse on why we can say that God he's not fair, or he's just not. No, he's been giving us chance after chance after chance. And once he does bring that wrath, then we know he stored up this wrath for so long, but now it has to be dealt with. And so God even gives us the opportunity to even live out, in our foolish ways, in our foolish thoughts, fight each other, destroy each other. And so when you look at ISUPK and how they present themselves and how they on these streets, they basically still gang banging out here, because that's what's going on. They color banging. When you do that, you have conformed to the image. You have conformed to this system, because whether we like it or not, blacks have come together in this system. Whites have come together. Asians have come together. And everybody that represent a culture of people sit down at this table, or this government system, to supposedly to represent their people. But what they really have done is given their people over to wickedness and foolishness, and to conform to this very image of the beast. And so it's to prep you for the very system that we see that is coming, to where you can't buy, trade, or sell but by this very mark, or this very image. And so when we look at our dollars and we look at the money that we spend, these very images are on our dollars, because it's telling you that they're pushing this system forth. And this system is ancient more than us. This system is actually more ancient than human beings, because there are spiritual deities that we see that rebelled against God, and now they're pushing to destroy man. And so we consist of spiritual beings as well, but we're housed in material bodies. You cannot allow yourself to be in the flesh and not and neglect the fact that you are a spiritual being. So if you are a spiritual being, you must attach back to the very source, which is the Creator God. And when we look at what Christ has done, he has revealed himself to us to get us in a position back with the Father, and to line up with all what the Father has for us in the whole universe. And so when one thing in the universe is not operating or functioning properly, then what happens is it causes an effect, and everything get out of harmony. It's a disharmony there. So we just need to get back on point, man. And so if anybody that is teaching you opposite of that, then you need to get away from that. So my suggestion to you, if you're out there and you do not know Christ, we're gonna face some hard times. Whether you're a Christian, whether if you're not a believer, you're agnostics, you don't know if there is a God, but you would like to establish a relationship with him, God has given us the ability to do so. And it's like he's written this love letter, and in this letter he wants you to seek this letter, read this letter, and once you read it, it helps you to understand him, and you build this relationship with him. Some people don't want to take time to understand what the biblical text is saying, because they want to basically count God out, because what they see that men might do. You might see me do some things. But that don't let that be the reason why you do not seek God yourself as an individual. You know what I'm saying? I suggest that you take time to know your creator, to try to seek him and find out. There are some things to where I look at the Bible on prophetic words that the Bible say these things are going to happen, so I follow what the Bible is saying. You know what I'm saying? And so it's some things that I don't even talk to you guys about that's been revealed through the Bible that I see that is there. So people ask me, well, why do you deal with the Bible? Because it reveals things to me. It reveals things to me that any other literature has not done. I studied Kemet. You know what I'm saying? I've studied Sumerologists, Sumer, you know, as a Sumerologist, and studied their work, a lot of their archaeology. I've studied a lot of those things. But for the most part, I see that this Bible, it suits me well. It's the truth. I see it. And we may get into strife about different translations and variances and stuff like that. But as the brother said, it's the living word. It's the living word, you know, and through this, we can gain eternal life, because you have to live outside of this flesh. Most people might say, well, you go back to the earth and there is no consciousness, that the material world makes up the consciousness, and that's it. Well, hold on. If the material world made if this world was made by natural causes, and the material world brought into existence consciousness, that means it can only bring consciousness into existence because it is conscious. In other words, there is some type of level of consciousness that have brought forth other consciousness. And so what I'm saying is, all life comes from life itself. And so I'm not saying that that you know, when you look at the nature or something like that, that's what the source of what brought you into existence. What I'm saying is that's partial, but what actually brought you into existence is personal. It has, in other words, it's personhood. In other words, God has he's a personal being. You know what I'm saying? He's a personal spiritual being. In other words, there's things that we have that he has, because we're in his image. We have feelings, you know what I'm saying? We have emotions, we have passions, we have desires. And so we have those very things. And so when you look at it, God has those very things because he feels some type of way when man does not do according to what needs to be done for the best of all good, for the best of all humanity. And so we got to understand that, man. We living in the world with each other. And so because we living in this world with each other, we have this human experience, and how we deal with each other is very important, you know. And so we're not dealing with each other correctly. And so ISUPK, they teach you not to deal with each other the way we should deal with each other. This is why they can be out on these streets saying the white man this and he's the devil. The Bible speaks about where there is an actual devil. There is a definite article of a devil that we see, and we can look at it and say that this person is against all humanity, and he's causing us to be divided against each other. And so when we have the keys and tools that Christ has given us, and that this biblical text has given us, being the written word, and the word being made flesh, we can fight and be more than conquerors to destroy the works of the enemy that is against us. We can war against spiritual principalities that's in high places, that is seeking to basically destroy us as human beings and spiritual spiritual beings housed in natural bodies. Don't be out here living in the flesh, man. If we're living in the flesh, we're gonna die, because the flesh it basically, you know, causes us to be in a place. When I mean by the flesh, don't allow yourself to be governed by the flesh, and allow the motions of the flesh to cause us to be distressed and conquered and overwhelmed and defeated. You know, we can battle this thing out, you know, but if we living in the flesh and warring against each other and listening to those very teachers of ISUPK, then we in trouble, man. We in trouble. But with that being said, I just want to say peace. I'm finna go up in this house, chill with the family, because I'm out of here tomorrow. you know, and just spend time with the family and stuff like that. It's been a good weekend, you know. Overall, you know, spent time with the family, a lot of time with the family, also with the in-laws and stuff. So it's been pretty good. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I just want to say peace. Appreciate you, Tony Tell. Shout out to my nephew in the chat room and my mother and them and J Man. Who else? Sister Cherry in here. You know, whoever's in here, man. Shout out to you. I'm on my phone, so I can't really see too much who all in here, but just a little bit. So real. Shout out to him. And who else was in here? Red Pill. Shout out to you, brother. And with that being said, peace. I don't even know how to end this. Let's see how you end this, y'all. Oh, they got all types of stuff. You can do all types of stuff with this thing. I done found some different types of stuff. They look crazy. Go back to normal. How do you end this? Let me see. I gotta make sure I do this right. Let me see. Wait, she wants to start. Okay, got it.